Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, and he is Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay, we got two class of 2023 additions to talk about, and they come from the same high school, Arlington Martin High School in Texas. A couple of Bob Wager's former players at Arlington Martin when he was a head coach there for the past 17 years, but now he is currently Matt Rhule's tight ends coach at Nebraska, and he got two good ones, I think. So Jay, first of all, let's name off these guys. Ismael Flores, a 6'6", 210-pound wide receiver, tight end, kind of in the middle there. And then Jeremiah Charles, a 6'2", 170-pound straight up receiver. We know he's probably going to start his career at receiver for sure.
Yeah.
So when you saw Ismael Flores, Iowa legacy, it was a really good pickup, recruiting battle with the Hawkeyes and also Rutgers. And also the addition of Jeremiah Charles. What was your reaction right away?
Well, first, when you flip an Iowa legacy, that's a big get, and especially because his dad's in the Hall of Fame. I think his mom was a pretty good athlete as well, and so that's like a recruit and a half, where you're obviously taking one from Iowa and gaining a really good athlete with a lot of potential, to Nebraska, and being 6'6", 210, he'll probably get her up around 220, getting the weight program and eating and stuff like that by the time fall comes around. He poses matchup problems because you just can't. You can't, coach or diagnose 6'6", and he's a legit 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
So that's an advantage point to where you could see him be a specialty package or cause some problems right away. And then his teammate is I think probably a little bit more of a project. Only been playing football for 1 year.
Yep.
A little bit of a long strider, but you see the potential there. You see the ability to high point the ball. The one thing about both of them, I will say this: both of them are tall and long. But once they get going, it's what Matt Rhule has obviously had: big receivers and that can stretch the field and can take a 8-yard route to 20 yards real quick. So once they get their motor going, they go from they go from third gear to fifth gear pretty quick. And so I think it just fit right along the line of what these guys have been doing. Both guys have potential, and then you can see that they fit parts of their offensive scheme, and you can see these are Matt Rhule, Satterfield type of players, consider what type of offense they've had in the past.
Speaking of Marcus Satterfield, Ismael Flores gave our colleague at Inside Nebraska, Greg Smith, a pretty good interview, and he spoke about what the discussions were like between him and the OC, Marcus Satterfield. And I have a quote here I thought was really interesting, and this is from Flores himself. He said, "They are looking at me more like a flex tight end, someone that can move all around the field, get in the backfield a little bit, spread out to be an outside receiver and get my hand in the dirt. Basically do pretty much a little bit of everything. The OC, he likes playing a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, so he definitely likes his tight ends." Jay, when you hear that quote, the 12 and 13 personnel, 2 tight ends out there, 3 tight ends out there, what goes through your head?
Well, I mean, it's the modern day type of offense. If you look at the NFL, most explosive teams have, for sure 1 tight end. But if they can't have 2, you're going to be able to really, really make some big explosive plays. And I think most teams can, especially in college football, can be really explosive in the middle of the field, or in between the numbers or the hashes. And so when you're playing 12, 13 personnel, you can go back to look at the breakout game of South Carolina's offense against Tennessee. You saw a lot of 12 personnel. I talked about number 44 at South Carolina, who was kind of a do-it-all type of guy, with just like he described, and that's what maybe he's going to do. And to be honest with you, as we get into his highlights, it's exactly what he kind of did in high school. So you're making the transition easier for him to be an effective player potentially earlier in his career. And and I'm pretty sure they're talking to him about maybe these are the things that he can handle, right? Where he can do multitude of things. He's coming from a good lineage of a football and family background. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out for not only him, but all the recruits.
And let's get right into those highlights. We're gonna do both Flores and Charles, but let's start off with Ismael here. Just again, you can't really ignore the frame that he's working with. And he can move a little bit. He's extremely athletic. I just think that this is a really good get, just a big athlete on the field.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have a coach that knows these guys inside and out and know them, probably more what they're made of than obviously Coach Rhule, because he's coaching for quite some time. But you see a big 6'6" guy right here. His route is pretty crisp. You like it to catch it, and this is what I'm talking about here. The when a defensive back or safety bounces off of him and then has the speed. When you think about when he catches it, bounces off of him, and when you go from the 35 to the 50, you start to see the separation that even a little defensive back, cornerback actually loses ground on him. So that's where I'm talking about. As he starts going, he goes from third gear and he goes right past fourth, and he's out of there. I like it that he's a hand catcher, high points it right there.
Yes.
Not afraid of contact. He's got a big old frame, but he has a huge catch radius, right? And I like it that he was able to high point it while being an athlete and being in the air. And then the rest is history. I like it to run after the catch. I like the route that he was running. I like that he was inside the defensive back. So then therefore he's knowing how to use his body as a quote unquote basketball player playing football. So this is what gets a coach like, Matt Rhule and Satterfield really excited. And then in this play right here, you see him in the slot right here. Just a little bit of a skinny corner there, but the best thing I like right here is the ability to not only get 1 foot in, but 2 feet in. So that lets you know that obviously the continuity between him and the quarterback is good, but he has the athletic ability and the technique to make a hard catch right here. Obviously, the quarterback is not as probably good as you're going to see at a Power 5, but it's put right there with his catch radius, right? 2 feet in there, catches it with his hands in traffic, not an easy catch. And these catches aren't hard, or these catches aren't easy, excuse me, for when you're 6'6", because you don't have as much space as like a smaller receiver. And it's fit right there where only he can catch it, but he has to catch it and keep his long, big body in bounds. Yep. And, so this is the best thing, that I like about it. He catches it with his hands, catches it right there with the right catching technique. And then he obviously is good enough and has a wherewithal to keep his both feet in. You call that the toe drag swag. So these are the plays that, again, gets offensive coordinators, position coaches really excited. And obviously with the coach that coached him in high school coming up here to coach tight ends, you'd like to think the learning curve is a little bit less because he knows them a little bit more than everybody else.
And at South Carolina, we saw Marcus Satterfield use athletic big tight ends in a multitude of ways, and that included handoffs and right. Sweeps. And that's exactly what Smith Flores shows here. He's going to start outside of the frame, but he's going to come in.
Yeah, this is the more you can do. That obviously when you as an offensive coach, you want to get the ball to your best players. And look, he's a big old 6'6" guy right here, where he's able to, hit the sideline. Like I always say, that, the explosive plays come up the sideline. I like the physical run twice, where he's able to, with a big stiff arm, and then obviously finish off the run by not, running over 2 guys. And I like his ability to, set up his block, but then also read it. And then once he knows that he's got to get some extra yards and making a play, right, he knows he's going to use his will and his power and be physical, stiff arm this little defensive back that might, if he was on the NFL, he might end up on, angry runs or something like that. But then he gets, 10 yards after contact, and now he's got 2 guys. He's not running out of bounds.
Yep.
And so that's what you like, the physicalness. But it starts with the ability to do a multitude of things, on the football field. And that's actually a 15 yards after contact. So that's a big explosive run there by a 6'6" guy on a double reverse that you normally don't see. So letting you know what type of athletic ability that he potentially could have at the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this last one here, I just really enjoyed the tracking the ball, staying calm under just falling to the ground. You got a guy all over you, but just taking his time and watching that ball fall into his hands again. Like you always mention every single time we do one of these receiver guys, a hand catcher. That's something that stuck with me, and it stuck with him here too.
Reason why this is so important, especially at a young, obviously age, and you'd want to be able to, evaluate and scout these guys, is because these are the type of catches that he's going to have to make day in and day out at practice. But then when you practice it, that's what you're going to have to make in front of 90,000 people, or, whatever you're playing on the road, and you have to be able to concentrate. So I like it that it's a 50-50 ball. I really like that he used his frame, right? So, when you're 6'6", use it. He's got the inside technique. I like it that he's tracking the ball. So for people out there, tracking the ball is no different than a center fielder or a right fielder or left fielder in baseball. The ability to track the ball off the bat. So now you're tracking the ball out of the quarterback's hands, the either trajectory, the height, the speed, all while continue to run at top rated speed and have the wherewithal to keep your inside leverage that only you can make the tackle or you can make the catch, right? So when you look about at the end of this play right here, 6'6", he's using his frame, a box out technique, and then it drops into the bucket. Pretty good catch, and obviously catching with the hands is obviously excellent as well. So, look, you got 4 plays that you get a glimpse of him doing 3 or 4 different things that are next level things. And along with the 6'6", 210, 15-pound frame, Nebraska fans can be excited, hopefully next year, but in years to come.
And as we shift along to Jeremiah Charles, well, we had in Ismael Smith Flores is an experienced high school player, a guy who's played high school football his whole time in high school. But now with Charles, only 1 season of high school football, just a really interesting, long, wiry prospect that when you watch him run around, you see like a lot of leg, right? He's 6'6", just a very long athlete, still learning the game, but you could tell that there's some potential in here that Bob Wager likes.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I first initially saw this, I thought, you had it, backwards where this guy's 6'6", but this is a special teams play right here. A long guy, a true 6'2". There is no line about here. He's long, he got long arms, long legs, but this is him on special teams, right? When you're only playing 1 year of football, everything is new to you, but you're seeing what his ability to be an effective player is, on offense, and then obviously special teams, on punt block right here, where you're coming, good rate of speed. He's physical to get through the up back here, but he's long enough to just get his hand on it and then make a huge play. And so this is just a glimpse into his athletic ability and potential. So when you look at the 2 different recruits, one's obviously more ready-made, playing football pretty much obviously his whole life, and one that's just getting started. So I'd say that Charles is a little bit more of a project, but you see why he's a scholarship kid and a guy that they wanted to jump on quick because first of all, he's only been playing 1 year, but second of all, his learning curve and his zest for football, it jumps off on tape. And here's a good example right here. Obviously look at those legs. You say daddy long legs. That his gait is 70% legs and 30% torso. But I like the route, right? No wasted steps. A little bit of a deep sluggo route, a little slant and go. I like it there right here. Sometimes these are hard catches for guys that haven't played a lot of football. They're wide open ones where it should be a guaranteed touchdown, and he catches it with his hands, right? So, and it's natural. So look at him right here. He doesn't fight the ball. So sometimes where you see young receivers try to catch with their hands, they fight it. It doesn't look natural, right? So that he's a natural athlete. He's tracking the ball again. Again, he doesn't have any defender around him, but the ability to backpedal into the end zone lets you know what type of athlete he is. Catches it with 2 hands, nonchalant, just like every day. Like they used to call it a can of corn when you play baseball, catching a pop fly. So, I like what he has right here, potential. And the upside on him is obviously just like what Matt Rhule was doing down in Baylor. So you're starting to see some continuity. Now you got him out here on a straight 9 route, right? And he sold it like kind of a little bit of a, I wouldn't say jog off the line of scrimmage, but to set the defensive back up with his rate of speed. And then once he got even, he was leaving. And so you see the separation there, right? And the thing is, these 2 young men are playing against high level competition in Texas. And so you're not going against kids that can't run. But I like it, the ability to sell the route as kind of a slouch type of route, but they knew that they were going the 9 route, and then ability to go from 2nd gear to 5th gear right here, and then to create the separation, right? Lull them to sleep, and then blow right past them. And again, the catch here over the shoulder with the hands, it looks natural. And so these are the things that I'm sure Satterfield and Rhule are looking at right here, tracking the ball, catching it with his hands. That's not an easy catch, right? Where you're catching it over your shoulder, especially only playing 1 year of football. And you got to think, yeah, you could do it in 7-on-7 in the off season, but you got pads on and you got people watching. And here's another route right here. He's got a little bit more tighter coverage, a little bit of under and over coverage, right? So they're double teaming him. But again, the true legit speed with this big frame, right? Blows right past they're running a cover 2 right there. And they're rolling the coverage to him. A really good pass right here, but a really good catch. It's just a go route. And so what you're seeing right here, just what Matt Rhule has done a lot of times in Baylor, speed on the outside, drops it in the bucket, great catch right here. He will eventually be in the slot right here. So you like to see him do a multitude of things. We're learning the game of football, a little bit of under route, catching it in traffic, and then they're able to I always say, get to that sideline, turn up the sideline and make an explosive play. We made one guy miss and got an extra couple yards of it. So I like it, the timing of it, right? So sometimes young guys don't like running across the middle, but you didn't see any break of stride. He knew that he was going to get a lot of times on these under routes, especially coming from the slot, they'll throw it right after the right tackle there. See that? So you're running away from the defender, and now you're able to get to the corner, and they want you to get to the numbers, and you expect a good block out there by the outside receiver.
Yeah.
So you can get an explosive play. So I like it right here where he's again catching it with his hands, looks effortless, and then also the speed and the run after the catch is probably was really, really exciting for the coaching staff.
Absolutely. And that gait that you talked about, maybe with this, just his strides, his long strides. He was a track and field and basketball guy before football.
Right.
And he was a triple jumper was his kind of main event in track. And this just looks like a triple jumper starting his motion to the board where he's going, where he starts out with these long strides,
right.
Hits 60 right away, right at some point where he's ready to launch. So you see a lot of different, sports and different things that he's been taught his whole life. If you watch his highlights in basketball, Jeremiah Charles is a bunny. He is jumping everywhere. His second jump after the main first one is very quick, which you like to see with athletes. So look, I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you, Jay. Jeremiah Charles might be a guy who needs to be developed, and it might be a few seasons before we see him, but again, he fits the Rhule profile of maybe a guy who possesses traits that others don't and needs a lot of development in other areas. But Rhule's going to take those guys every time, and he believes in his and his staff's ability to develop them.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot to work with already, and it's just experience and learning the nuances of playing receiver. And so when you see this long strides, it doesn't really hurt him when you're facing off coverage, what he faced a lot, right? Because they're scared of his speed. So all he needs to get better at is the initial route running, is press coverage against press coverage that actually zone or man. And those are just come from experience of being in practice and learning from others as well. So, but what he has, what is God-given ability to get off the ground quick. He's a multi-sport athlete, so he's competitive. When you have a guy that's really good at triple jump and long jump, you have to be self-motivated so that you know what he's made of is he's going to go and work extra to be the best he can be. And so, what Matt Rhule is doing is upping the athletes in that room and the competition to go with it. And so he fits right into what he's done in the past and what he's going to hopefully do here year in and year out at Nebraska.
Absolutely. So just to recap, Ismael Smith Flores and Jeremiah Charles, they were the 23rd and 24th members of the 2023 class. There was some more action in that class later, and we'll have that for another Inside Nebraska Blackshirt breakdown for you later. But for now, that was Ismael Smith Flores, and that was Jeremiah Charles. For Jay Foreman, I am Steve Marik, and we will catch you guys later.